Welcome everyone to Expanding Your Consciousness, and today is January 24th, 2023, and we have another open forum this evening, and this is actually our first open forum for 2023. And so tonight I'm just going to start with Faith because she has a topic that she'd like to talk about.
Hi, I just wanted to share my experience of how I kind of, I kind of always suspected it anyway, but kind of know intellectually about things like, and you've had experiences in the past, and then you get busy with life and everything's great, and then something happens, and then you're reminded, of how the mind is manifesting in the body, or the body manifests what's in the mind in a symptom or in pain or something like that. So I was having an acupuncture session last evening, with someone who's very gifted. And can you hear me okay? He's a very gifted acupuncturist and a colleague of mine. And towards the end, I started having severe pain in my heart, and I thought I was going to die. It was so bad. It was going from the front all the way to the back. It was really intense. And so I tried to breathe, and it was causing anxiety. So he came over. It was near the end anyway, so he took the needles out, and then he started encouraging me to breathe. And then he started doing the tuina, which is massaging the acupressure points on the meridians, on my arms and my chest, and the lung points. So I kept breathing, and the pain actually went away. And he also worked, just below where the heart is, in the middle of the chest, where the ribs meet there, just under the xiphoid process. It's in TCM and shiatsu is called pericardium. So we started there first. It was a really intense release. Like, it was fear. It was like my whole body was just covered, like the fear just came out. And that's what was happening in my chest. It was just a fear response. And he said the way he was trying to rebalance my meridians, it was forcing me to breathe, because I haven't been breathing very deeply because I've been going through a lot of stress lately. So the meridians balancing out was trying to forcing me to breathe, and I was still suppressing. And so when I started breathing, it just all went away. And it was just like, wow, that's pretty intense. I thought maybe I was having a heart attack. It was so intense, because I've had an MI before, right? Back in 2001 from coronary spasms, not from the traditional, reasons for heart attack. But I just wanted to share that story. I actually got to the other side of it. And I don't really know exactly, there's no pictures with it or anything like that. It was just a sensation and just this awareness of fear coming out and getting released. Yeah. And I felt much better after that. And today I feel much more relaxed. And so just wanted to share that experience of how the mind is manifested in the body, and the body manifests what's hidden in our psyche that's being suppressed, and how important it is to practice being mindful and breathing deeply and taking time for self-care, and instead of being busy all the time and trying to avoid feelings and whatever's going on.
Why did you take the acupuncture?
Well, I've been doing this for quite a while, just for balancing, because I have stress, basically. And it's very helpful for stress.
Okay.
And I have, like in TCM, it's the elements. They work a lot with the elements, so earth, water, fire, air. For me, my liver had a bit too much heat, so it's very helpful for balancing out the heat in the liver, because it can overtake the kidneys. And then the kidneys are not going to be working as well. We're in the winter season now, which is kidney season, right? Kidney and bladder.
So is this your first time doing this?
No. I've done it many times. I also do a healing modality, and we've been doing trades quite a bit. We've done many trades. So he enjoys my treatments, and I get a lot of benefit from his treatments and really enjoy them as well.
But why do you think you had a big release? Like, have you had big releases with the past ones you've done with him?
Not quite like that, but I definitely felt really strong sensations where he was putting the needle. Like I could feel the energy going through my meridians very strongly. And I've never felt that with any acupuncturist before, but this fellow is gifted,
Yeah.
absolutely gifted. And yeah, he knows exactly where to pinpoint where the point is and what meridians and what points on the meridians. It's a pretty complex system, the meridian system and the Chinese medicine. And,
So, what I'm trying to get at, are you saying that a lot of our psychological issues are locked in our physical body? Like, is that what you're trying to say? Or,
that seems to be my personal experience and the experience of many other people. Like there's courses and trainings you can even take on somatic, psychosomatic healing, like how the body manifests what's in the mind. And a lot of people that are in the healing arts, after a while, they come to realize that a lot of what they're like massage therapists or, you know, maybe osteopaths and that kind of thing, they realize eventually that a lot of what their patients are experiencing is it's mind related, emotional, psychological issues. Yeah.
and when did you, was this yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah. It was yesterday.
And how do you feel today?
I was relieved. I felt much better. Today I feel much better. I don't know. I just feel a sense of calm and peace
Yeah,
and love. I feel a love around me, kind of like a well-being. Yeah.
that's good.
If only people knew how, like I have my own patients as well that I've sent to this colleague of mine and with serious health issues, and they just couldn't believe how profoundly better they felt and the effects after the treatments, and they are now regular patients of his, right? So
Yeah.
I've sent several people to him. So yeah.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Faith? Kenny?
I'm very interested in the effect of the belief system, the mind, over the body. There's a lot of research that's being done by drug companies. It's a regular routine to do these so-called double-blind experiments with drugs. And I guess you could do them with acupuncture or massage or any of the healing arts. But the fact is, at least from these drug companies, is that there's people who get healed simply because they believe they're being healed. They think they're taking the pill and it's actually just a sugar pill, but they get healed anyway. So the mind is really a miraculous thing. And I've just poked around and done a little bit of research on it. And I'm someday I'm going to write a book. I got a couple other books going right now before that one because I don't know enough yet. But it's true. There's a profound connection, especially in the area of healing between the mind and the body. Now, it goes both ways, unfortunately. I saw there's this fellow on YouTube. His first name is Gabor, and I can't remember his last name. He's a doctor who has quite a series on YouTube. And he talks about what causes cancer. So it's a two-way thing. When your mind is a certain way, and what he was saying is people who are self-sacrificing get cancer way easier than normal people. And he emphasizes keeping boundaries and not being a yes man or a yes woman, and agreeing to do everything that everybody wants, and yourself is last. So he wants to flip that around and claims that's behind many, many cases of cancer. And he just cited lots and lots of them. And, you have to find them on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. But the problem with these folks is they don't provide solutions. They just talk. They just talk. And,
Well, not this guy. He had some solutions, and I've tried one. And you see this thing, this little sign. I don't know if I
Wow.
got it on correct or not. But anyway, one
Yeah.
of the things he said to do was get a piece of paper and write on it,
Yeah,
where am I not saying no?
exactly. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I have that problem. I'm a little bit of a yes man and want to
That
please everybody.
I learned that lesson recently too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did the right thing and I know I didn't do anything wrong. And but yeah, so got a little bit of flack for it, but it's not a big deal. They'll get over it.
Yeah. So the mind is a huge part of your healing. And so I feel sorry for hypochondriacs and people who make themselves sick with by misusing their own mind.
But are
Maybe
you
the
saying that I'm just curious, like are you saying that the acupuncture was a placebo effect?
no, I don't. I've had acupuncture treatment, and from my point of view, as a person who doesn't know what it is, it could be. But from your point of view, of someone who knows what it is and knows about the meridians and the blockages and everything, it's not. So
No,
it's a
yeah,
point of view thing.
it was a profound, unmistakable energy experience of my own energy system and my own sensations. So
Mhm.
no, what it wasn't a placebo for sure. Not it wasn't.
Well, it's about point of view. So if the people who take in these experiments take the pill and they think they know what they're taking, but they don't, and they get better anyway. So if I go into an acupuncturist and I get the needles and I get better, and I don't know what acupuncture is and all that, then I'm like the people in the experiment, but I still get better. But if I knew something, I knew all the fine points, and I got better, it would be, I wouldn't say, well, it's the placebo effect. It's because he did all these right things. But I still, the fact is, he stuck pins in me and I got better. So whether my mind is ignorant or not ignorant is just from my point of view. So a point of view is important in our lives. If we don't know anything about acupuncture or we do, that's night and day. So obviously you do and I don't, but I got better anyway.
There's a study that was done. I don't know how exactly they did this, but they had people come in for operations that weren't life-threatening. And they told them they were going to do this operation and that they were going to feel better. And so people went in there and some of them got an operation and some of them didn't. They actually did not operate on some of these people. But a lot of the people who didn't get operated on felt much better afterwards and thought they had been operated on. So, it depends probably on the person and the extent to which you believe in things and the extent to which the problems you have are being caused by the way you think. Because I mean, this would apply not only to physical things, but to mind things like, I'm feeling a lot of stress. Well, why are you feeling stress? Are you feeling stressed because there's things you need to look at and you're not looking at them? Or is it, or you're getting hammered by somebody? I mean, there's a lot of reasons that you could get stressful. But if most of the stress is being caused by the way you think, by going, oh man, this is happening to me, and boy, it's really knocking me out, and you can talk yourself right into that, like that kind of thing. I think we're doing a lot more often than we're aware of, and I think when the all the studies are done on this, we're all going to be standing here with our mouths open, and when they tell us 90% of our problems are self-caused, and we just don't know that because of the way we're thinking. And it's interesting, there's another study they did where they gave a bunch of kids, college kids, speed, and they told them it was downers, and they gave downers to people and told them it was they did the opposite with people. They got exactly the opposite of what they thought they were getting, and 70 or 80% of both groups swore that they got the downer or the speed when they got exactly the opposite of that. It was all in what their expectations were and how they wanted the outcome to go that had a massive effect on the way they felt later.
Yeah. So it is very interesting how the mind affects how we feel. And the placebo effect has been studied. We all, that's been proven. The other part of that, the other side of that coin is the nocebo, where the suggestion is something bad will happen to you. And that creates the the manifestation. So I remember a few years back, about 4 or 5 years ago, there was this big announcement over the CBC, which is, our Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And the big announcement was within the next 2 years, 50% of Canadians will get cancer. So, and I knew that. I'm like going, well, good message just put out there. Like knowing how this is going to affect people's mind and their reaction to it. And I just thought, well, this is our, these are the people who are supposed to be taking, caring about us and putting out these kind of messages, instead of saying, hey, you know what? If you get sick, you can help a lot by using your mind to help yourself.
Did they say anything in the article about, was there anything that people do in Canada that's going to make them get this cancer in 2 years? Is it because of the way you guys eat, or do you don't eat? Or, I mean, did they mention anything like that?
I didn't hear that part of it. If they did say that, I didn't hear that. But as far as that goes, it seems to me they've got their health suggestions, or I don't know where they get them from, but they're, contradictory to so many, naturopathic, medicine practitioners that I've, studied. So no, they didn't say that, what the problem was, but it doesn't scratch the surface a little bit, and it's everything gives you cancer, right? So it's just like up to you how healthy you're going to be, but to a certain extent,
Well, maybe the announcement was a test they're running and not telling anybody, and they're just saying that to see how many people do get cancer and see if it had any effect.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be interesting to see what the outfall has been.
It's got to be one of the stupidest things I've ever heard anyone say. 2 years from now, half the people. They actually say that half the population of Canada is going to get cancer in the next 2 years. That is so ridiculous. I mean,
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's our government. Okay.
Actually, there's another equally ridiculous thing that went on over the whole world. Just think of the COVID thing back in early 2020. What were they saying? They were terrorizing people with how this horrible disease was going to, it was really, really serious. And wow.
well, it is serious. It's killed 1.5% of everybody who's gotten it in the United States and in the world. Those are the stats. Like your chances are 1.5% if you get COVID to die from COVID. So it's not like it's nothing.
I didn't say it was nothing, but it's the way the media handled it and the way the governments handled it. They talked it up and how horrible it was and how terrible, and they scared the daylights out of people. So what I would suggest is a little more moderate approach, that it's good to take precautions, and we're imposing these, something a little more positive to help people through it.
Well, we down here in the States, we had our wonderful President Donald Trump telling everybody that it was nothing and it was going to go away and all this kind of stuff. And his people were really, upset with him for saying that. The clinical people, they said, no. So what happens? He gets it himself, so.
And gets cured from his whole family.
Well, yeah, when you got 19 doctors taking care of you with everything that they can throw at you, yeah, you're probably going to come out okay.
What I've heard is that the cure they gave him was readily available for anybody, but some authority, a World Health Organization or somebody, had declared this thing dangerous, and it wasn't really dangerous. That's what I heard.
And then you also got to realize that in the beginning of a pandemic, nobody knows how it's going to play out. I mean,
Exactly.
You can look back, you can Monday morning quarterback the whole thing and say, well, they shouldn't have told us not to use masks and then told us to use, I mean, you can find all kinds of little things like that, but they were in the dark. This hasn't happened. This is the first time in about 100 years anything like this has happened. And the last one wiped out a lot of people, a lot of people.
Offhand, do you know what the normal, when the flu is going around, what percentage of the people who get it die?
No, but people die from it. They also die from the vaccinations of it. Everyone, you know, there's a certain percentage of people that are so susceptible to dying, I guess, that stick a needle in them and put about anything in there and they'll die. And maybe that's the way they're thinking about it. That could have something to do with it also.
There's no doubt that there's a strong correlation between healing and the mind.
Yeah, I agree. If you're invested in this certain belief system about how this certain doctor operates, that's your belief system. The likelihood is, I believe, that's going to work for you. And if you go against your belief system, then that's probably going to have a bad effect. So understand your belief system and sort of stick with it. I think positive thinking is so important. Fear, like Gabor Mate was probably talking about, hinging on, fear, trauma, like it makes sense giving too much of yourself. You're diminishing, you're not, not taking care of yourself. It's not you might think it's a positive thing to be giving, and it is, but you have to have something in the tank to be able to give. So you got to take care of that. So if you're not, you're, going to give too much.
I can tell you guys about an interesting experience I had recently with my emotional state. I was going crazy. There was this deadline coming up. I've got some Bitcoins and this place where they're stuck, they're about ready to release them. And we've all been waiting 10 years for this to happen. And so they had a deadline that I had to meet in order to, I had to get some pictures in. I had to do some stuff, and I kept on not doing it. And finally, the last few days, it's like I started going crazy with it, and it wasn't working right. And I was having trouble getting the information up to the system because the software was, it was just, it started, I was going nuts. I thought, my God, if I don't get this in, like, I'm not going to get any money, and I was flabbergasted and just at my limit. So that next morning when I was laying there in bed, I did my talking out loud thing, and I started talking about it, and I was talking about my emotional state, and and I was talking about how bad I was feeling, and can I actually do this? Do I have enough time to actually do this? And I started looking at that, and I started being logical, and and yeah, I guess I do have enough time if I just focus on it and do it. And after about 30 minutes of talking to myself, I started feeling really great. I started feeling like, wait a minute, like, why was I thinking that? I've got time. I can handle this. This is gonna work, and the whole time my emotions are going just wacko. I mean, it was just all I could do to just be there with it. But being there with it, with those emotions, and then realizing the truth, which was I couldn't see at the time because of the emotions. But I just kept talking and talking and talking. Finally, I could start see the truth about it. So okay, it was fine. I had 2 or 3 days left. I could do this. Okay, so that morning I get online and I go in there and I start looking around, and here's news. And the news is they've extended the deadline 2 months because not that many people were, I guess a lot of people were in my position and they found out about it. So that happened. Now I don't see any connection between what I was doing and that happening, but I don't want to I don't want you to think that well, I don't know what I don't want you to think. I just want you to understand that I just talking to myself about how I was feeling, and describing the emotional turmoil I was going through, as if I had a therapist in the room, just going through it. And finally I started seeing from where that was coming from within me. It was coming from a very deep place within me that makes sense, that is logical, that isn't crazy, and it was coming out of that place, and I saw it. And then I realized, gee, I've been thinking the wrong way about this. I've been scared to attack this. I've been scared to face it, of all this fear for I don't even know why. And as soon as I began to face it, as soon as I began to let myself feel those harsh emotions and realize, okay, this is my emotional body. It's not going to kill me. I've been worse off than this. Whatever came up in the moment, I just started talking about it, and that soothed the situation, and it soothed me, and it made me feel really good. And all it was facing something and talking about the experience of facing it to myself and watching it and going through that. And just that alone, without any drugs, without any help from anybody else, got me into a very incredible state of being okay with the turmoil that was happening. And there was a way out of it. And then bam, that happened. So you don't even need to take drugs sometimes. If it's a psychological issue, you can face it head on, and it dissolves.
Thank you for that, Brent. I know Beverly it must be about 11:30 or midnight there. So I just want to see if there's anything that she wanted to share. Any comments?
I guess, can you hear me?
Yes, okay.
Okay, yeah. I was just listening to everybody and about the connection with the mind and the body. It's really about trusting yourself. Like if you believe something strong enough, then you don't waver from that. You're sure of the outcome. You trust yourself, and then you kind of just let go. So I've been listening to everybody saying fear is a big thing, and especially with you're talking about the pandemic and how fear created this circumstance that everybody had to rush in line to do what was right, and now everybody's just scared of down the road, like of what's going to become of this whole COVID thing, and everybody's unsure, so everybody's getting more spiritual, and they're starting to trust their own and believe in themselves. Like if we were all raised to at least believe in something, a spiritual something that's connecting us all. Like I was telling Faith this story about these cows that I was watching. They were going to be slaughtered, and this one leader broke free of I'm not sure if it was 4 or 6 cows, and they broke free of the pen, and they ended up getting the police involved. So this cow, he kept the police car away so the cows could be freed. Anyway, when it all came down, there was a couple from a nearby town that had seen it on the news or something. They came to the rescue, and they said, we will take these cows to our pasture and we will give them a good life. So as they tried to get them aboard, like the trailer, they were really nervous. It was like the cows just didn't trust anybody. So they gave them a lot of time to get in. Once they got them over to their pasture, the cows were like they were angry for a certain amount of time. And this lady especially was so kind, and she talked to them. She talked to them a lot, like, and kind of let them understand that she knew how they felt, and she would give them time to come around. And she said one day it was almost like they trusted her. And she said she could see them soften, and she could see them soften in their eyes. And these cows are now healers for people with disabilities and emotional issues. And they're so loving. And I don't know if anybody saw the video, but it's absolutely beautiful. I sent it to my sister because she's got a little bit of a farm going on. She's got some miniature horses. She's just got a couple of goats and sheep. And she sent me some pictures today, like the sheep. I was saying, you need a miniature cow. And she said, we've got a great crew on the go now, Beverly. She sent me a picture of the sheep and the cow head to head with their heads down. So she said, oh, I can't watch this video because I get so upset when I see stuff like that. And I said, no, really, it's a beautiful story. So she sent me back a message. She said, oh, thanks, Bev, for sharing. It's a beautiful story. And the story went on to say that these cows they've got their 3rd sanctuary open now for these healing cows with these people that are, going through something emotional. It's such a spiritual, like I was telling Faith, everything is all about spirituality right now. And a lot of people are connecting, a lot of light workers and a lot of truthers, and they're just coming together, you know? And that's sort of like, I think, what you guys are doing, right? You're sharing your experiences, and it's
That's-
all about trusting and
yeah.
right.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So and I find a lot of these stories so heartwarming. Like I don't have any animals, but my sister, my families my families, my sisters and that are really into animals. I'm not. I love animals, but I don't have one. And there's so much healing. Like my sisters had these bigger horses, which she don't have anymore. She's got miniature ones, but she's went through like stressful time in her life, and she was always trying to explain to us like animals understand, right? And they're used as healers. So it's I don't know. I was just telling Faith about that story. It was such a beautiful story, and just listening to you all talking about how you know it's the power of the mind, and it's almost like they connect with these animals,
Yes,
and
that's
they
right.
trust, and they understand like these people were going through a stressful time, and these cows were. But to see, if you only saw the video, it like the way the cows broke out, and this one cow was like keeping the cop car away so they could all escape. It
You know
was
what,
amazing.
Beverly? Send it to me because I can add it to this.
I will.
Yes, do that.
I'll
And
send
Faith,
you that.
yeah,
If
Faith can give you my email on that. So
what a beautiful story.
yeah.
Or put the link that you have in the chat right now, if you can do it, and we'll all have that. I'd love to take a look at that.
I'll try my best.
Okay. And
Uh,
Kelly,
without losing, I might lose you guys though, because I'm no techie.
oh, okay. All right. So that's okay. No, if you send it later, we'll just consider, I can show it to
Yeah.
everybody afterwards.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I'm kind of new to Zoom, and
yeah,
this is my first time actually. Hi, everyone.
yeah. So
Yeah.
welcome, Beverly. We really appreciate you joining us. Kelly,
Thank
I
you.
know it's late in Ontario too. And I
Yeah,
thought, with the story about animals and that, maybe you have something you want to add.
yeah.
'Cause
So
you
so
kind of have a special link. Kelly's blind, so she has a seeing eye dog, and she has a special connection with her seeing eye dog.
I
Yes,
do.
absolutely.
So I got this. She's a black Labrador Retriever, and she's just very close to me. So she does communicate. She's got her own language, really. It's really neat. She'll move her mouth different ways, and she's got lots to say. And I mean, it's not like how we talk, but she is talking because her mouth moves, and I'll ask her, how was your day? And she'll move her mouth once, and then, or like I'll say, do you want this? And she'll move her mouth once, and sometimes, like, when we're just sitting together, she'll just turn to me and start moving her mouth and talking like a conversation.
And does she know when you're not well or if you're sad or like, how does
Yeah,
she read you?
yeah, I think she does. Cause like if I'm not well, she won't, like 2 years ago, I wasn't feeling good. I took her out, to the bathroom and then came back in and fell back to sleep. And then about, oh God, I'd say, well, she only got out to the bathroom twice that day. And I mean, she held it. She was super, super patient about it, because she probably knew that I wasn't feeling the greatest. Right. And you've seen her communicate a bit, Diane. A
Yes, I
bit.
have.
Yeah.
There's quite a connection between the two of you, right? So,
Yeah.
and,
And she's intelligent, very intelligent.
yes.
She really is intelligent. Like I know there's been so many times where she just starts doing it, and it's like an entire, like, she's really, really, really trying to. It's like she has so much to say.
Yeah, she's trying to get it out. Okay, so
Yeah.
I just want to move on a little more, and I know it's late for Beverly and Kelly, but I know, Ken, you want to talk more about meditation, and I thought if Beverly and Kelly want to listen to your talk, and then if they want to add, and then the rest can add afterwards.
Yep.
You okay, Kelly? You gonna hold out?
I had a melatonin a little while ago.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but it's really wow.
Well, you know what? If you do have to leave, that's fine.
Okay.
You know, okay.
I've been like because I've been off for a month.
Yeah.
I've been really getting my body back into good working order.
Yeah.
And
taking that time
so
off, especially in the
Ye-
winter.
well, I've been doing a lot of exercise and a lot of just eating a lot better and stuff like that.
Mm.
And even and a lot of intermittent fasting again. So
Okay.
yeah, so I think yeah.
Okay. So Kelly, Kenny.
Mm.
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about the effect of the mind on the body, because the type of meditation school that we're cooking up teaches us how to control our mind. So one of the problems, if you knew that being self-sacrificing causes you to get cancer, or worrying too much causes heart problems, or whatever, all these commonly known things, then you wouldn't worry, or you wouldn't self-sacrifice. But we can't, because we're in some weird habit. We just do things that are damaging to ourselves, and we somehow can't help it. There are ways, techniques to train your mind so that that doesn't happen. So that's what we're trying to do. And it's just a coincidence, or some magical coincidence, that the whole topic tonight has been, so far, it's on this, if your mind could be tuned the way you want it to be, it would make your body healthier. Oh, let's do that. So that's exactly what this little school is all about. It's contemplative meditation. So in fact, Brent, it's a little bit like what you do, where you talk out loud. In contemplative meditation, you just talk within. But I wonder if we should experiment with your technique of talking out loud. And of course, in contemplative meditation, you talk within, and then you just shut up for a bit and listen and see if anybody or anything or any part of you answers. And then you just go back and forth like that. Sometimes what happens is all of a sudden, wow, I got that. There's a huge, big download of information and of positive emotion, an epiphany moment where everything falls into place. And when you get those, that's the object of your meditation now. You just hold your mind on that. And what happens when you hold your mind on something fabulous like that is your mind becomes something fabulous like that. It's an amazing technique.
I always had a lot of trouble with meditation because I couldn't hold my focus. It would go all over the map. And with talking out loud, then that's a couple of things that it does is that because you're talking out loud about the way you're feeling, you're actually focalizing on what's arising within you right at that moment. And so it's like a magnifying glass on that. And it also slows your mind down because it's operating at the speed of words, which is a lot slower than normal. And so it doesn't have the opportunity to flay around and go all over the place. And then you discover you've been all over the place for the last 10 minutes. So it holds your attention very, very well. So that's one of the benefits.
Yeah, perfect. Dave, what's happening?
Yeah, the contemplative meditation, it's like having a conversation, or you're contemplating ideas that lead you to this revelation, epiphany, realization, a feeling of what it is you're trying to get at.
Yeah.
Part of what I'm doing in my contemplative meditation is I'm exploring, big questions, but I'm assuming, and this is my belief system, that there's somebody listening,
Mhm.
that I'm waiting and I'm getting the answer, I'm getting feedback. And it's more subtle. You're not getting a voice booming out Sometimes that happens, but it is getting into it's been managing to get into a more subtle, focused, uninterrupted conversation. But there is definitely an assumption that I'm interacting, you know, it's not just me. So that's been, I'm really enjoying that because, well, I haven't, to be honest, I haven't tried Brent's suggestion that we try talking out loud, and I meant to do that, but I bore easily, so kind of getting a bit, sorry, I'm just being a bit facetious. Anyway, I do want to try that because, yeah, like you said, Brent, that's slowing the mind down. That's what we're trying to do in meditation, and focusing our attention. We're focusing our attention on our, our thoughts without them taken off. And then we get somewhere, if we continue that practice, for sure.
Well, if we're all one, we're all connected to the same spot, wherever that is, wherever it is, it's down deep inside of us, right? We're all connected on a very, very deep level. So any way that we can access that source flow that's coming out of that spot, it was going to put us more into oneness with each other. And we don't really know what we are, who we are in the greatest 100% totality of whatever that is.
Mhm.
So when you say, I bore myself, well, maybe what's coming out of your mouth or your mind bores you at times, but if there's a focalized effort to get down as deep as you can get, and you feel strongly about that, then you just express that out loud to yourself. I feel really strongly, I want to get, that's, you just say that stuff. And that helps go down in there. So I think someone's listening, but I don't think it's like who we think it is. I think it's like the one mind or the one consciousness is listening to itself as it speaks, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, I I've contemplated that, and I'm not sure where I'm at with, I agree we're all connected. I'm not sure we're all one. So I guess I haven't had that experience where I definitely have, there's no doubt in my mind that there's, a connection, that we are very connected with each other, and shouldn't be dismissed as it so often is. And to me, that's what I can focus on, is we're connected. And so when you put out an intention that, well, I'm thinking about that person, and my friend Lee, we haven't talked to each other in about 3 years, not face to face, but he says he'll send me an email every once in a while, and he'll say, I continue to send you the blue light of love. And I understand that. It's like we're connected, and I do it in my way to send you love, and everybody I've ever met, I continue to do my practice to send that out, and to connect and to wish the best, and to actually people who are suffering, and continue that positive practice. So yeah, and like doing that.
Okay. I want to go back to the topic about animals. And I think, Daisy, you had something you wanted to share in regards to that and our relationship with animals. Daisy?
Yes, hi.
Okay.
Hi, I'm here. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I think I had a cat once when I was younger, and she was remarkable. She was very human, like animals are very human and sensitive. They pick up on things very easily. And she could do really, she was so smart, so very smart. She could flush the toilet by herself. Like we'd all be sitting in the living room, and all of a sudden we hear like the flushing noise, and we thought, who's doing that? So we got up and looked, and it was my cat. She knew how to do it. Oh, she was so smart. She knew when it was bath time, she would open up the bee closet with her paw and hide right under the stairs behind the boxes. When she could hear the water run, right? And she would turn upside down and open that closet door under the stairs with her paw. And then she would hide right in the back behind the boxes so no one could find her. Because she knew that it was bath time and she hated baths, right? So I'm just saying, just to reiterate that, like, animals are very sensitive, dogs are very sensitive and loyal, and cats are very extremely sensitive. So I don't think we should be eating them, to be honest. I think, you know, I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat meat. So I just think they should be respected, and they shouldn't, you know, they're there for a reason to comfort us in sad times and happy times, and they like company too, you know. Sometimes when there's a party, my cat would come and sit right in the middle of the living room and surround herself with all the people. And she wanted attention, right? So she'd sit smack dab right in the middle of the living room and everyone would talk about her. So, you know, they're very intelligent animals, they're very intelligent beings, and they all have souls, you know? Yeah, so that's what I think about pets and animals, and they come in handy. And, you know, like the blind dog, you know, dogs have lots of purposes, like police dogs and those guard dogs and blind dogs, you know.
Yeah, and the service dogs, like the
Service dogs,
working animals. Yeah.
Yes, service, and horses, and they plow the fields, they used to.
Yes.
And I don't know. So yeah, they have lots of attributes, like,
Yeah.
you know, they give us a lot in
They
return.
do. And I was raised in the country, Daisy.
Oh,
So the whole idea of like little ornamental animals is totally foreign to me, because we had cats as mousers, right?
that's right. That's
And
another purpose.
yeah, and we had dogs as guard dogs. That's what they were.
And hens lay eggs, right? They give us food. They're
Yeah,
like hens lay
exactly.
eggs. So that's pretty, you know, pretty crucial. I mean, besides meat, right? Giving us meat, I'm talking about they
Yeah.
give us service and assistance, help, and they do all kinds of things to support us, right? In our times of needs and whatnot. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And also it does get you thinking, right? Why is it okay to eat certain animals in our culture and not other animals? And then you go to another culture and the animals that we don't eat here, they eat there, and right? You know,
That's
like,
right.
right?
And you know what? In some communities, they raise pigs as pets. I've seen that on TV.
Yeah.
And in India, like, cows are sacred, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
they worship the cow in different ways.
Yeah.
And there's other countries, I don't know, but you know, in China, they eat insects and whatnot and different animals that we don't hear.
Yeah.
So, you know, certain rituals and things are accepted in different cultures, whereas certain things here are not accepted. We don't eat our cat or dog, right? And I never heard of North Americans.
No.
I've stopped that.
Yeah. But no, really, like, you know, if somebody were to serve me rabbit, I don't think I could eat rabbit, right?
The rabbit I've had, like, when I was little.
Yeah.
Like my neighbors were Portuguese,
Yeah.
and I just remember that. I was a very little girl. They said, "Do you want to come over for dinner?" They were right next door. And then they served me rabbit. I tried it. It was very tasty. I still remember that, but I never ate it ever since.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize it's rabbit until they told me. So, you know, but that's right. I mean,
Yeah, it's just weird. And in Kuwait, I tried camel. That was an
oh,
unusual
really?
experience too. So yeah,
Wow, I didn't know they eat camel. And
yeah,
is it
only for
after-
special, like weddings and things like that, special
Ah,
ceremonies. They do slaughter camel and eat that.
right. And alligators, I think they eat that in Australia, don't they? They eat
Yeah.
alligator soup or something, I don't know. And fin soup, and I don't know. Anyway,
Oh.
so it's very strange how different people treat animals, and
Yes.
in I think Japan, right? Like, cats are really sacred, or they're really into cats in Japan or something like that.
Mm.
You know, it symbolizes something to them, like the Japanese. So they have a lot of cats as pets. They hold a lot of cats as pets in their homes. I've seen it. So that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to elaborate a bit about that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay. Anything else that people want to discuss? Faith, is there anything you want to add?
No, just listening.
One of my favorite things to do on YouTube is to find animal videos, especially around babies and little children. What goes on between them is just incredible. There was this one I saw where this baby, it was like less than a year old, was just sitting up straight, and the dog was licking its back, and the kid didn't have anything on his chest or back or anything, so the dog was licking his back, and then the dog would stop, and then the baby would turn around and back up into the dog and want more licks, and this went on for this video, and it was really incredible. It was like that little kid just was into that tongue on that back, and boy did he like that. And it was hysterical.
Okay, I have a dog story. You hang out with me for any length of time, you'll get bored with all my dog lore. Got many stories. So we're having a party, and it's like 30 people all crammed up together. We're having a great time. And my dog, Sweet Basil, she's not, she's kind of tucked under the couch, and it's not normal for her to be so aloof. Anyway, I just checked in on her, what's going on. No, she's just like kind of ignoring me. Anyway, somebody put a red feather boa on her around her neck, and she went nuts. She became the life of the party. She went around and she, like, hey, what's going on? Like, to everybody in the party after that, she was the life of the party. It was like, put that feather boa on her, and she was like, okay, now we're talking. And it was such a transformation. She just needed, I don't know, what do you say to something like that? It was just hilarious. But yeah, she definitely reacted in a most surprising way with her feather boa, but it was so funny. It was just like she was prancing around and going, hey, man, look at me. Anyway.
Okay, I have that video, Faith and Beverly. So do you want me to just show it?
Yeah, let's all watch it together.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Great.
Watching the news about the 6 cows that had escaped a slaughterhouse and they were running through the streets of St. Louis. You could see the terror in their eyes. They had nowhere to go and no one to help them, but they were desperate to live. There was one clip where Chico, who's the leader of these cows, was keeping the authorities behind a tree so his brothers could get out and run out of that area. It was very deliberate that they were trying to keep each other alive and find some sort of safety. At the end of the day, they all got rounded up and sent back to the slaughterhouse. It was eating me up. I couldn't sleep. I wanted there desperately to be a good outcome. There was a small group of the community that was raising freedom money to convince the slaughterhouse owner to release them to a sanctuary. The owner said that he would wait for 4 days. We jumped on a red-eye flight and got there in time. When I first met them, they were absolutely terrified. They didn't know who to trust. They didn't know what was going to happen to them. We were trying to decide what to do with them. Do we find a home for them? Do we ship them to our California location? I looked back at my husband and said, they have come with a story to share with the world, and we have to help them. So we had to open a gentle barn in St. Louis, Missouri for Chico and his brothers. I remember loading them up. It had to be slow, and it had to be their choice to step up onto that trailer and to choose this gentle life that we were offering them. The loading process took a while, but that gained me a little bit of trust. For the first 6 months, I would just sit in their pasture every single day. In the beginning, they would run away from me and stay as far away as they could. But as the months unfolded, they stopped running and then stopped walking away from me altogether. I love you so much. I love you so much. It's true. I'll never forget that first day where they kind of just all laid down. I was like, oh my God, I've been invited in. This is the beginning of their healing. It was a very slow process, and it allowed them to really forgive the past and walk away from it and learn that humans can be kind and the world can be good. Chico was absolutely the leader from day one and still is today. I knew that in order to get anybody's trust, I had to get Chico's trust. I will never forget that day where he took a cookie from my hand. There was a look in his eye that was softer than it ever had been. I couldn't stop crying. That's when I knew he was going to be okay. Watching their journey has been such an incredible honor. Now, these cows have recovered and they've turned into cow hug therapists. They make people smile. They work with people with special needs, people that are suffering domestic violence and trauma of their own. Such a beautiful point to watch someone who came full circle and is now healing humanity. Their forgiveness is incredible and their capacity to love is remarkable. What brings me so much incredible joy to know that I was able to do something good and I didn't have to sit on the sidelines. Because of this rescue, we opened up a kennel barn in St. Louis, which is our third location. It's now a home to so many more animals. So it changed my life, it changed the animals' lives, and it's changing people's lives every day.
Wow, what an amazing story.
Yes, thank you for that.
Boy, when you your heart warmed, go to YouTube and watch a video like that, because I do that a lot, and it just changes my whole being just by seeing animals be loving towards themselves and even other species. Like I saw a video the other day of a cat and a rat who are best friends. They hang out with each other. They're like, you know, they're not, they have no desires to eat, you know, the cat doesn't want to eat it. I mean, it's a pet friend. They're a great relationship. A lot of interesting things on YouTube like that.
I would just like to say that you notice what they said about these cows had a story to share and they were on a mission to be healers, right? And I think everybody right now, I was saying that to Faith today, this evening, about she's a healer, you know, and we're all in some way healing and connecting with each other, right? And it is a beautiful story. So I'm glad you all had a chance to watch that.
Yep, thanks for that.
Anything else that people would like to add?
I just want to say that, you know, like we've come a long way from the type of foods people eat and choose now, especially in the Lower Mainland. And because kind of yuppie and trendy, you know, and maybe California as well. Like we're more into health foods and vegetarianism and vegan foods. It's like, it's a lot more accepted than it was 30, 40 years ago, you know, and even the menus in the fast food places like McDonald's and Wendy's and whatnot, right? They have now more vegetarian and vegan choices, and sometimes they'll come out with vegan burgers and things like that, and even fish burgers, which they never used to. So it's really evolved, like the human thinking has really evolved around focusing on good, healthy food choices rather than what we used to eat. You know what I'm saying? So it's really evolved over time. And a lot of the restaurants didn't, other than salad or buns, they never had any vegetarian or vegan choices.
Yeah.
But now they're all learning that people want different food choices to choose from and to eat and to order from, you know, at restaurants. And even in the, even in the shopping markets, you'll notice there's ethnic aisles and there's all kinds of international food aisles, right? And there's vegan and even dairy-free products like, what's that milk called? You know, that soya milk, and they have all kinds of diet cheese, like, you know, vegan cheese and whatnot, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
So-
Daisy, my experience with that type of cheese, it's not cheese, but anyway.
What cheese?
The vegan cheese. So
Right. And like, I'm just saying
no,
that
I
I know it's
hear
not
what you're
cheap.
saying.
Some of this stuff
Yeah.
is very expensive
Yeah.
to make and to get, but
Yeah.
it's evolved, like it's evolved that much than
Yeah.
it had been 30 years ago. And you go to all the supermarkets, there's international aisles, and there's all kinds of vegetarian and vegan food products that weren't made before, you see? So that's all I'm saying. And people are, watching. And it's also, okay, it's not just for health reasons, but for the environment. There's a lot of environmentally sound supporters and believers. So they don't eat meat just because of the environmental problems it's causing
Yeah.
on our earth.
Yeah.
There's people like that. So
Yeah.
anyways, I just, after seeing that video, right,
Mhm.
I'm trying to blend the two topics together. And also I read some article, probably still have it somewhere, that by butchering all these animals and cows, it's eating up our fossil fuel system, and it's creating a lot of, it's very, very expensive to raise them. That's what I've been reading, and it's very harmful for the environment. So I have to find that article and let you know about it.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. And
Thank you.
Kenny, you wanted to add something. What did you want to add?
It was about the healing power of these large animals. So I was the patient in a healing by a horse, and it was pretty magical. I mean, the horses are big animals, and when I was watching those cattle, they were steers. I don't think they were actually cows, but anyway, they were big. And there was that one where there was somebody was embracing the thing, and the animal was, well, that was a big animal. That was a big. It would have been a huge bull if it was a bull, but anyway, so that reminded me of this experience I had in a green field in Ontario with a horse. It was there is something really cool, and I'm not interested in trying to figure out some psychological or scientific explanation. Just feel what you're supposed to feel when when the horse gets really close. So it was very mysterious and beautiful.
When they take animals into hospitals and they let people pet animals and stuff, you're connecting with that deep inner part of yourself. That's not the ego. That's this pure oneness or pure love. And that's what everybody wants. And so the animals are just a gateway to it.
Yeah.
Can I just add something that might seem quite controversial? But do you think humans are spending too much time focused on caring for animals and not caring for humans?
Well, that's what they do because they like doing it, if you can love an animal, then you can be better with humans. I mean, maybe some people need to start with animals to get deep enough to where they can actually sense the same thing in other people. Maybe a lot of people are like those animals, and they were that way in the beginning. Remember, it took them a while to come around because they weren't treated well by human beings. So if you haven't been treated by a human being very well, it's going to be a tough road. But if you've got an animal, that may help you. So it works together, I think.
It's a good point. I like that.
There's a place out here, Fort Langley, place called Wisteria Acres, and they have you can sign up for this event, and it's sold out every time they have it. They have it like 2 or 3 times a week now, and you can get in a circle in a paddock, I guess it might be. It's a covered area, so you got to dress warm in the colder weather. But it's a meditation session, and but they let these healing horses in among the humans during the meditation. And it was 3 horses. And yeah, if you've been up, if you've experienced auras, what's that? Contact high, just the presence of being around certain energy. Certainly these big beasts it's amazing to get up really close to them. It's like, yeah, it is, it's very special, you know, if you make a connection, it's something you'll never forget. And it's, yeah, they're, and they tune in. If you've got a certain part of your body that's not working right or whatever, they seem to pay attention to that as well. Like, you know, they're sniffing around and, you know, caressing or butting up against it. But yeah, it's a very, very excellent experience.
I like watching the videos sometimes where the parents are giving their child an animal. And so the kids want it already, you know, so they get this little animal, and most of them can't stand it. They feel so much love, they just break down. They start crying like babies. They just can't even stand it. It feels so good to them. So that's really wonderful, you know, that's that animals have that effect on us.
Let's hope we have that effect on each other too.
Yeah. We're still evolving.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I see it, Faith. Any other comments people have? Beverly, anything you'd like to add? Beverly? Ken?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah.
you.
I understand where you're coming from, Diane, because a lot of younger people are deciding not to have children anymore, and they're having 1 and 2 dogs, and they're pretty big dogs. They're opting out of having children altogether. So I understand that you say they're putting more into their animals than into humans, right? But that story about the cows, I saw it as like they're healers, you know, and they were on a mission, right? So like I know a lot of people that got a lot of animals, and I'm thinking, oh no, not for me. But some people are going through so much stress, and they got stressful lives that, like, I've got a niece who've got every kind of pet. She's had everything from a flying squirrel to she's got like iguanas, and her life is kind of chaotic. So I say to my sister all the time, she doesn't understand that her daughter has so many pets. And I said, think of it this way, that it's kind of healing for the kids and her, because there's a lot of chaos around her life. And it's just, I can understand, like being outside the box, that I can understand where she's coming from. It's like the whole household is chaotic. So these pets are all going around like they're just living. You'd have to see it to believe it, but they're so loving towards these pets. I guess it's not for everybody, right? But I guess they bring a lot of happiness, you know? To each their own, kind of.
And also, you know, often animals won't reject us, right? If they're a pet, right? They usually, you know, accept us as we are. So
We treat them honorably.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Can you imagine, instead of this punishment thing we do for criminals, that wouldn't it be great if we could take animals into prisons, or have animals be raised by them, or force each one to have a pet while they were
Good idea. doing
their service in jail? I mean, that alone could change lots of people, you know, right there.
I think there are programs like that, right?
Are there?
Yeah.
There is with, you know, war veterans. I've seen that, where they treating guys with severe PTSD, and they'll try and match them up with a pet, you know, and that has had some great results, because it just eventually gets them out of their head, and they start to relate, you know, to this other animal who gives them nothing, hopefully nothing but love. And yeah, that's they start to respond to that, and it's been very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
The guy we mentioned earlier about like Gabor Mate, what were we talking about him and his work? I forget what it related to, but he's done his whole thing is about trauma and how it's affected the psyche and how to get out of that, all kinds of different ways.
We're really primitive on this planet when you really look. We're so primitive. We're still in the caves, you know.
Well, it's, yeah, we keep falling for the same things, it seems, you know. We're not, just keep repeating, not moving ahead. But we are, get there.
Well, I don't agree with what you're saying. I think we're very advanced. Like, could a primitive person create the hydrogen bomb? Could we-
And what have we done with that hydrogen bomb? We've
Think
destroyed
of-
2 whole cities of innocent human beings with it to stop World
think
War
of
II.
Think of the other weaponry that they're using now to defend democracy in the Ukraine. All those sophisticated tanks and anti this, and I guess, are there any Uncle tank weapons? And all those sophisticated aircraft with, oh man, it's missiles that can blow people up from the other side.
Sorry, I didn't know you were being sarcastic. Sorry.
So don't mock the modern technology.
Yes, yeah, this is from our veteran affairs minister here, Kenny. It took me a second too.
I like to
Yeah.
sneak up on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just wondering though, why human beings, many human beings, have a special relationship with animals, and it creates a love bond and really helps both the animal and the human being. But I really am concerned about why human beings don't do that for each other. Could we not have each other as pets? You see, there's all kinds of laws around sexual promiscuity and all, I don't know what all else. So when we're very young, well, not very young, but when we're teenagers and in our 20s, often we dream of having families, and of course, relationship stability and all the family works really well for that. But when you're an old person like me, those days are gone. So I wonder if I could be somebody's pet, or somebody could be my pet in that sort of affectionate way. It doesn't have to be dreaming of raising a family in the rose-covered cottage. Just
Why don't you put an ad in some place and say, an older gentleman wise in the ways of the world would love to be a younger person's pet,
Well,
or something like that.
Anybody's pet.
Try anything
That's
like
right.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
a
yes.
video and put it on YouTube. Advertise yourself on
Oh,
YouTube.
yeah.
There you go.
I think I'm gonna start
I'll
the
bet you
orig-
some young people will contact you. You've got a nice look about yourself. I'll bet you.
Here's what
Well-
I'm going to do instead. I'm going to start a dating site, and that's going to be the theme.
Be a
You don't
pet.
have to say anything, just purr.
Pick a pet. There is a song by a group called Jane's Addiction, and it is "We'll Make Great Pets."
See, there
That's-
you go. Somebody
Yeah,
was
there
on
you
it.
go. There you go.
Somebody was on the vibe.
But no, I like, yeah, I think, yeah, it's and we are that to each other, I think.
Well, we really can be.
Yeah,
And you know, why aren't we? And
Yeah.
I think it's because I had a very wise teacher once who was explaining relationships from the point of view of the shamanic tradition. And he said, you can be very good friends, but as soon as sex enters the picture, it just changes the entire vibe. So I think that's what goes wrong is when we introduce sex into a pet relationship, a loving, caring relationship. As soon as we introduce sex, everything becomes intense. You know, the littlest thing wrong becomes a giant obstacle. It's like the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland. You know, something goes wrong, off with her head.
with their
You know,
heads.
it's so terrible. And
Yeah.
then something goes right, and oh my dear, it's so wonderful. You know, those extremes are triggered by a sexual relationship. So if we had non-sexual relationships with opposite sex or same sex or whatever, doesn't matter, it would be like a pet. And that, I wonder if that healing energy you get from pets could work just with human beings.
So in your ad, make it obvious that you're too old to have sex. And maybe a
Oh,
lot of people won't worry about it then.
That's right.
Well.
Okay. See, you got all kinds of great ideas there, Brent, you know?
I'm
but
one with all things.
Oh, there you go. That explains it.
Okay, we're just finishing up, so I just want to give Beverly a chance. Any final words, Beverly?
Wait, no. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Why do you sound so much like Faith? Are you guys related to each other?
Nope, just friends.
they're both from the east coast of Canada.
Hmm.
Canada.
There's a
Yeah.
special accent they got down
Yeah,
there.
there's something going on there.
Yeah, yes, boy, well, shit. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. And I hope probably to do it again.
Let's
Yeah,
hope.
that'd be
Yeah,
great.
thank you,
We
Beverly.
do this every Tuesday. And
Okay.
so, yeah, we've been doing it for just over a year now.
Okay.
And,
That's nice.
and I will send you, or Faith can send you the link to Expanding Your Consciousness YouTube channel. So you look
Okay.
at some of our past talks. So
Okay.
And when this new science gets going here, we're going to be able to put suits on, and we're going to be connected to the internet, and so we'll be able to touch each other.
Oh, yeah.
Creepy.
I don't go that way. Do.
Or hug each other.
Head.
Hug.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think, I sit there and think how long humans have lasted on this planet. I'm beginning to think they won't be lasting much longer, but anyway.
Oh, come
Okay,
on
and
now.
then Faith, anything you'd like to add?
No, not at this point. Just enjoying the show.
It's given me
Front row.
a different
row.
perspective on how I'm going to relate to humans now. I'm going to be more of a pet, like a playful kitten. See how that works out.
Yeah, that'll probably work out pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
See if you can get relaxed so much that whoever you're around relaxes them.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. That's my superpower.
Mm.
I'll put you to sleep in 5 minutes.
Okay. Any final words?
Good to
Brett?
see you, Brent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice to see you. Yeah.
Yeah, good to see you guys
Annie?
too.
Thank
Yeah.
you for joining us. Faith, Beverly, thanks again. And hope to
you.
see you next week. And if you have a topic, please let me know. Right? Okay. Good night.
Okay.
Bye.
Night.
Night.